you this book by Josef Albers, a well-known artist and also art educator. This book is called Interaction of Color. This is the 50th anniversary edition, and you can see on the cover we have different shades of red. It's hard to explain just how much I love this book. I think it's brilliant. If you are a visual artist, it's so useful, but I also think it can be useful for anyone who creates in any way, in any sphere. If you're a musician, a performance artist, a filmmaker, if you make videos, if you make textile art like crocheting, truly anything, or if you enjoy any of those things as a viewer, then this book is worth looking into. It was first introduced to me in the context of other media, art media, separate from visual art, so that's how I first came to it and first came to love it. So I highly recommend considering it with that lens. So it was first published in '63 with a limited edition, and then a paperback edition came out in '71. Essentially, it's a series of exercises for Josef Albers students to help them understand color. In short, this introduction talks about how color deceives continually. It doesn't always look as it physically is. Instead, it takes its perceived qualities from the context of the colors around it and how it interacts with them. He also talks about how he doesn't follow the typical academic conception of theory and practice. Instead, he reverses that and puts practice before theory. To teach these concepts to his students, he had his students cut out blocks of even color, even opaque color from magazines and things like that to make little swatches, and then manipulate them by putting them next to other colors in different ways to try to get the desired effect. A desired effect would be like making a color look transparent, or making two very different colors look alike, for example. So I'm going to show you some of those plates. I believe some of these plates, if not all, are taken from students of his, which is just great. And the last thing I'll say is that the reason he has his students use blocks of color on paper is because if you're using a medium like paint, for example, there are just so many different ways to apply it. It's not always evenly opaque. It can be transparent, which is great for making art, but not for studying color in this way. By having them use swatches of opaque color, you remove some of the variables, so that way you can really get into the nitty-gritty of how you can use color to create different effects just based on the properties of the color alone. So I marked some of my favorite plates over here for you, and I'll take you through them now. Here's one of my favorite plates. Here it says a color has many faces, and one color can be made to appear as two different colors. So, for example, in this plate, as he says here it is almost unbelievable that the upper small and lower small squares are part of the same paper strip and therefore are the same color. And no normal human eye is able to see both squares alike. So because this same brown strip, which is threaded through underneath the blue and yellow here, because up here it's placed by a light blue and a dark blue, really deep and vibrant colors, and then conversely down here it's neighbored by yellow and orange, it looks totally different. Okay, I just went to get a piece of white paper so I could show you better. I think we can agree that this color looks much lighter than this one, but then when you remove some of the context, you can see that they are in fact the same color. If I remove even more context, then you can definitely see that they are the same color. But they look quite different just by placing them with different neighboring colors. So let's put this over here. Here's another plate. It says, why is the green presented as a grill, or what is the perceptual reason for it? So he's talking about this green, of course. Why does it look like a grill? Why does it look like a grill? And I think it's because, obviously, the center colors, these little squares, are the same as the background colors. But I also think there's something to the contrast between the background color and the green. Like this grill looks even more prominently placed, more noticeable, and I would argue of greater depth as, say, an object than this one. But both look like grills because the background color is the same as these small squares here. So we imagine a continuation of the background color through here underneath the green. This one, purple, red. I love purple and red together. It's gorgeous. So this says, the inner smaller violets are factually alike. So these two. But the upper one appears to refer to the outer lighter violet at the bottom. So the assignment for this one was similar to this one, which is to make the same color look different, as was successfully achieved here. But here, it was not only to make the same color look different, but to make it look then the same as a different color. So you can see we have a dark purple, some violet, violet, violet. It's questionable what's going on here. Some black and some kind of red-orange. So if I make this the right length, if I remove the context, you can see that these purples, this one and this one, are the same. Yeah. And you can see that this one and this one, so here and here, are not the same at all. This one's much darker than this one. But because of the way they are placed here, it looks like this is the same as this, and this is not the same as this, even though this is the same as this. So obviously the red is interrupting our perception, and it's a great big block of it. I think that has a lot to do with what's going on here. I also think it's important that this color is surrounded by a dark color, thus making it look lighter. This is a different dark color, but dark still, so it looks lighter. Here, this looks darker because it's surrounded by a lighter color. So that's a part of it as well. I think, as he says, through practice, like if we made this plate ourselves, we would learn through trial and error even more what is required to have this effect, to create this effect. These two advertisements, each showing a perfume bottle against the ground of a black-white gradation, are partly overpasted with 1 and 3 vertical bands, which show a second gradation reversing the ground. So here's a gradation, and then seemingly there's a gradation this way. Here's a gradation in the background, and seemingly a gradation this way. But this second gradation exists only in our perception. In fact, the vertical bands consist solely of an entirely even middle gray, which turns unrecognizable through a light illusion. So this truly is darker than this, but this only seems darker than this side. It is in fact the same middle gray, but because of what it's put up against, it looks vastly different. Likewise, this corner looks much darker than this corner, and it would appear that these sides of the strips are lighter than over here, but again, it's just an illusion. Some of these tabs are blue, some are pink. It doesn't mean anything. I just ran out of blue ones, in case you were wondering. Here he talks about how a bunch of different blues were selected, and then people were asked which of these blues seems the most blue, like blue to you. Similarly, a bunch of reds were chosen and put together, and people were asked which of these reds seems the most red to you. So I'll give you a second to think about that. Which of these blues and which of these reds? So most people said that this one was the bluest blue right here. To be honest, I think I would have chosen this one or this one maybe, but most people choose this one. Here, I would choose this one. Not that you asked, but I'll tell you. I would choose this one, but most people choose this one or this one, the first or the second. So in general, he says these get the most votes of first choice. The first one probably from older people, and the second one probably from younger people. The second one is a vermilion or orange red, and it's become fashionable with designers, especially typographers, in black and red advertising on white. So that's of its time. I don't know if that would hold true anymore, that this feels like a particularly fashionable red, but it's interesting to hear. And then we have additive and subtractive mixture, chapter 10. So essentially, these look like transparent films laid over one another. 1, 2, 3 rectangles. I'm sure you understand the effect. And same here, we have 1, 2, and 3. So the illusion is that this is 1 layer deep, this is 2 layers deep, and this would be 3 layers deep, with all 3 rectangles meeting in this little section. Same thing here. But these are not in fact transparent films. They are still just scraps of opaque color cut out by Josef Albers and his students. So it would appear that this is one color. All of this, part is all one color. And then we have one color here with this kind of jaw-like shape. Another color here with this one. And another color here with this one. These appear to be, do I think the same or slightly different? These appear to be the same. I think these are the same. So like this. And this same color. So by manipulating color, not by diluting paint or anything like that, just simply choosing color, you can create this effect. Here we have transparency and space illusion. This deserves recognition as an unusually precise study of a mixture of 2 colors and a gradation of 9 equidistant steps of red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It presents itself most actively when seen with the little dot in the upper left corner. Then the gradual upward increase in light reads more decisively than the equally precise increase in red in the opposite direction. So, if you just look at it, you can see a kind of weight of the red coming down, and then a lightness going up here in the yellow band. And he recommends looking at this red dot in the corner right here. Right here. And when you do that, this lightening of the yellow will read more clearly to you than the heaviness of the red. So I'll give you a second to do that without my stylus in your way. It is really amazing and very impressive to think of the person who was able to find all of these different reds that enabled them to produce this effect. I also find this yellow such a strange and unusual choice in the best of ways. Again, we have a kind of transparency study with red, purple, and green, and then yellow bands going across them. So this yellow band seems the least opaque, the most transparent, and this yellow band seems the most opaque because it interrupts this color or changes this color the most. Again, none of this is transparent. They're all opaque blocks of color. So, for example, we could count how many different colors were required to make this plate. This is all 1, right? So 1. All these yellows are the same. Then we have 2 with these middle reds, or uninterrupted reds. 3 uninterrupted purples. 4 uninterrupted greens. Plus 9. It's 13. So that's because this is a different red from this and these. So 1, same thing, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 13 total. This plate, I just love these colors, first of all. Then I'll read to you what it's about. It's something, that seems both spring-like and autumnal, and I just think also unexpected. Here, 4 colors different in hue and in light are changed into 4 other colors equally different but of a higher key. Both tetrachords, then exchanged, present a convincing as well as pleasing transformation. Both are united by the lightweight left halves and by the fuller right halves. So here are 4 colors, and then they're changed into different colors that have the same change between them. So the difference between this color and this is the same as this, and the same difference of this and this, and this and this. And then they reversed them over here. In truth, I'm not fully sure about the choice, why this choice was made with the pink and the green. But I suppose this has much more red in it than this. And there's greater differences in these as well, the more I look at them. So all of these have the same amount of difference between them. Here, 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 and here. Another gorgeous plate. Again, doing a kind of transparency illusion. That tends to be what I enjoy. So it says, a study in opaque paper demonstrating an illusion of transparency in film color. This reminds us of a varnish applied first on 3 of 5 stripes in 4 colors, then over 5 stripes. So here 3, here 5. Count the number of colors necessary to make this study or a reproduction in paper or in ink. So here we have 1. Here we have 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe this is the same, correct. And we have 6, 7, 8, 9. And I actually think this is different now, so 10, 11. Because here, this looks quite different from that. But is it different, actually? Let's see. Do they look different to you, or are they the same? Can I fully remove the context? I need a smaller piece of paper. Still not small enough. Okay. It's really hard to tell. Okay, if I put it here, even though this one's really thin, and cover this part, I think the shadow of my hand gets in your way, but I just put my face really close to it to check for myself. And I'm pretty sure they're the same color. So actually it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because these here, here, and here are the same, etc., etc. Alright, this is just beautiful. Basically, they recreated paintings by masters with nothing more than torn swatches of color. So I'll hold it up closer for you to get a better look, because I just think it's so amazing. You can see and really appreciate all the greens used here with these, and some of the yellow, the darkness of the hat, the shadow with these purples, and all of that. So it's not an exact copy of the original in the usual sense when you think of a replica. It purposely neglects many details and may even appear in changed keys of light and temperature. As you can see, some of these peaches aren't as peach here and things like that. So instead it's more of a consciously condensed record of a personal notation of a painting's color instrumentation, or, in usual terms, of its palette and color relatedness. So it's like a personal study or personal notes on what strikes you, or the student in particular, about this painting. So the unavoidable flattening of the four-color process, with its loss of opacity and plasticity of the paints in the original, unfortunately shows its leveling effects here by losing the directness, freshness, and solidity of the pasted paper colors and their tactile edges. It should be easy to distinguish here the study in paper from its reproduced original. This study is based on a work by Matisse. Yes, it's easy to tell. And finally, here are some reds and some blues to close us out. This is called Warm Cool. Red and blue, usually representing warm and cool, are placed alternately on the left and right sides to demonstrate that both colors can look high as well as low in temperature. Such a placement will easily provoke disagreement, but a reading of all the left halves warmer than the paired right halves is not unreasonable. So essentially, we have red, blue, blue, red, red, blue, blue, red, red, blue, blue, red. Even though red is often associated with being hot and blue with being cool, these are actually different types of blues and reds. So all of these colors are cool. You can see here's a cool red, cool blue. Cool blue's no surprise. Whereas here are some warmer colors. So warmer blues here, just to give you an idea. And you can tell, right, there's a subtle warmth to them. So all these colors, whether they're blue or red, have just a touch more red or warmth to them. And all these colors have a little less red in them, or rather a little more blue in them, no matter whether they stand in terms of your perception as blue or red. These stand as blue and these stand as red, but these reds have more blue in them than their counterparts. So that concludes our little show and tell today. I might have done well to mention this in the beginning, but now that you've seen the book through, the way that this relates to other art forms and media is however you see fit. But just to give an example, say in music, you're writing lyrics, you can think about how moving between concrete and abstract imagery affects the meaning of your songs. How one line, the quality of that line, changes depending on what's around it. If it's minor chord, minor chord, minor chord, major chord, that feeling is much different than minor chord, major chord, major chord, minor. So it's all about repetition, refusal of repetition, what is placed by what, and what is the effect as a whole. Again, through conformity or difference. There are also plates in here that fold out. Have you heard that sound? That was. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this. I love this book so much. It was a gift to me, and it's really dear to me. I hope you are doing super, super, super well. And if you're not, that is okay too. I will talk to you very soon, and until then, good night, good night, Good night.